You know, there's a saying out there in the endurance world, it's not the person who reaches peak speed who goes the fastest. It's really the person who meters out their effort and slows down the least that has the best performance, whether that's the best performance of the day, beating everyone else out there, or the best personal performance. Another way to say that is a negative split or an even split. Coach Nate here from Fleet Feet. That's what we're going to be talking about today. How you can start to practice negative splits, why they're so important, and how they can really impact your workouts, your daily training, and the race itself. We got a lot of great stuff in here, so let's jump in. Let's talk splits. There's 3 different types of splits are. The first one, it's really common, especially for new runners at races, and it's a positive split. Positive splits basically mean you start at a certain speed and you start to slow down towards the end. This is happening because we don't know ourselves super well yet. Maybe we're really excited and we're not as disciplined and as focused, which means that we just kind of chase our feelings, chase other runners, feeling really, really good. And then all of a sudden we hit that wall, we start to slow down, we're walking, and just mentally, we're just not in the best place ever. The second type of split is going to be an even split. It means that basically you're gonna finish your race or your run at about the same speed, the same amount of time as it took you to do the first portion of your run. This is really common in easy runs if you're just kind of going out for a cruise along the day. The best thing is the negative split, which means that you are purposely starting slower in the beginning of your run or your race and you're finishing faster. But if you can start to learn how to do this, you can really set yourself up for success, which is what I'm going to get into in our next section. Think of some of the most amazing run performances you've seen. Maybe it's Eliud Kipchoge running at 2 hours in a marathon or a little bit faster. If you don't know who he is, you should look him up. It's pretty amazing. That may seem so incredible and surprising to all of us, but that performance was not a surprise to him or to his coaches because they drilled that pace into him and that pacing strategy. They practiced it through all of these workouts, and then they were able to see the execution on race day. And for most runners who have a really good day, it's not this big, crazy, out of nowhere performance that happens. It's just a function of what they've practiced and drilled and training all the time. So you play how you practice. You race what you ingrain on all of your training workouts and days, which is why it's so important not only to go through the workouts themselves, whether it's the interval or the long run or just the easy run, but you add that deliberate set of intention on your pacing. So to do any of this, all you need is a GPS watch or the ability to measure your workouts in your phone to check your pace every once in a while. Track that with your perceived effort in the moment and start to bring some awareness into these different types of workouts. The first one is just going to be your easy runs. And I want you to deliberately start your next few easy runs at 5 to 10 seconds a mile, slower than your normal average pace. Can you start just a little bit slower, practice that for the first few miles, and then let yourself ease into that normal pace that you'd want to do? Remember, easy runs, it's time on feet, it's a little bit of recovery, some gentle aerobic work. Going fast there is not the point. For your intervals, I want you to think about if it's a tempo run or if it's specific time splits. It doesn't matter if it's distance or time. What I want you to practice and execute on is to make sure that the final few intervals are the fastest ones of the day. It means, can you figure out the pace you want to hit at the end and work backwards a little bit from there and be a little conservative? Say you want to run a 7-minute pace or an 8-minute pace for your interval at the end of the workout. That means in the beginning few intervals, could you start, say, at 7:15 or 8:15 and descend a little bit as you start to go? If you've never done intervals before, just think about easy, being patient in the beginning. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. And then towards the end, you should be pushing yourself a little bit harder. Finally, in your long runs, the beginning of the run, again, I want you to be patient. I want you to hold back. Think about your breathing, think about your posture and your form. Think about these other things where you're just really trying to accomplish some time on feet. And then towards the end of the run in those final few miles, that's when you can start to practice your race pace. And if you do that, you're gonna get a nice balance of these splits. In this next clip, I'm going to talk about race day strategy specifically and how you can start to develop a race day pacing strategy that anyone can apply for any race distance and really for any running experience. We're gonna take our race day and we're gonna divide it into thirds. And this is something that I personally love to do, and I also love to coach and put into all my programs and all the athletes I work with all over. The first watchword is going to be patience. Imagine yourself on that starting line. There's that surge of excitement. Everyone's gonna go around you. You're feeling really rested, you're feeling really well tapered, you're really fed. The urge is that you're gonna wanna go fast because running has never felt so easier in your life. That's where you need to practice patience. Let those other runners surge ahead around you. And if they're going by you, they're going by you for two reasons. They're not as disciplined on their pacing and you're gonna see them later. Or two, maybe they're just a faster runner and high five them at the end of the finish line and ask how their race went. The second section of the race is going to be about focus. That initial excitement has started to wear off, the adrenaline has worn off. You're starting to feel the run and race a little bit. This is where you need to really dial in your breathing, your posture, your cadence, and your pace, making sure you're staying in that window that you want to hit. If you've done this correctly, you're going about the same speed at the beginning, and maybe if you're feeling good, you're going to start to lift that pace a little bit. Our final third of the race is all about push. All those hard intervals, all those long runs you've done, all that effort, that blood, sweat, and tears, this is what it's about in these final few miles. Can you push hard, maintain the pace that you've just done, or can you lift that pace up a little bit? Because guess what? There is no better feeling than having that extra energy in the tank to feel strong on your last few miles, to pass by other runners, and to really run one of your best races and times that you've done. Now, a good consolation prize, if you're not finishing those last few miles faster, is to go even. If I can maintain the same speed at the end as I did at the beginning, that's a really, really good day. Hey, if I did positive split, if I started to slow down at the end of the races, you know what? That's another notch on the belt of experience. You learned something a little bit about yourself. Maybe you went out a little bit too fast. Maybe your training didn't really cover fully the distance that you were trying to hit. Or maybe it was a nutrition or hydration area. You kind of ran out of gas at the end. There's a lot of reasons why we might slow down at the end of the race. But hopefully with this, you've learned a little bit why negative splitting is such a great tool to practice, how anyone can apply it to their training, and how you can start to see it execute on race day. Thanks for sticking around and watch this video. Can't wait to see you on another one. Check out more on our channel. And hey, if you ever want to train with us, we got some awesome programs all across Fleet Feet.